because the thing that got me interested into making my own, well, there was a couple of things that got me interested into making my own mixes. The first one was I wanted to know what was in the bottle. And it's actually changed over the years. When I had my little kids at home, what was in the bottle was pretty safe. They were doing a lot of MSG, which would give me a terrific headache. And so I started making a few of my own mixes at that time, and so I could avoid MSG. And then shortly after that, they started putting in more sugar, and it's called TSP, which is the same product that my husband uses to get the old lacquer off of cabinet doors. That's in much of our food these days. And arsenic, there is some regulations that says that they can put so much TSP or arsenic into our food and still be legal and right. And I kind of thought, I don't think I needed any more arsenic than I already had, you know. I thought I had all I needed. And so that was kind of the beginning. And then I live over in Moreland. I'm only 3 miles from town. But I would get so frustrated when I was working on a recipe and it would say, add taco seasoning or add a packet of this or that or something else. And I went, I don't have it. And do you know how long it takes for me to load up all those kids and go into town? That costs more than it costs for the little packet. So I thought, you know, I'm smarter than the average bear. I think I can figure out how to do this. And so I started researching, experimenting, and I started making more of my own mixes. And I've always had to live on a budget. I know you guys don't have to live on budgets, but I've always had to live on a budget. And so I've actually done some breakdowns. On your handout, it talks about the brownie mix. And I know that a couple of months ago, you could buy brownie mixes for about $1.30, $1.50. They were on sale. But the recipe I gave you tonight for Fake It brownies cost 30 cents for a package. And so, I mean, that's $1 savings. Dollars add up, especially if you eat brownies like I eat brownies. And they are so quick. If you need to take something to someone really fast, add a couple ingredients and bake them and you're off. So there is a great savings by making your own. And it's cheaper than buying the arsenic and the TSP that's in them, you know, it's a great deal. With the cookie mixes I've given you, the ingredients are depending, is between 30 and 40 cents for a box of cookie mix. And then you can have make cookies really, really fast. The other thing that I liked about making my own mixes is that if you like on some of the others, I like a basil in mine. And so I will add more basil to my mix. Or if you like it more garlicky, we like garlic at our house. And so you can add or you can subtract. And so you can make it just the way that you want it. And so that makes it kind of fun. It's easy to make the mixes. Very, very easy. Let's talk, and I'm going to have to move away from the mic for a minute, but I'll talk really loud. As many of you know, when you're making a mix and you're using something liquid, you need to have for liquid measuring cups. Those are your Pyrex glass ones. Use that when it calls for oil. And some of the mixes I'm giving you tonight has oil in it. So when you measure with a liquid or with a dry. And so that makes a difference on how your mix works. And you want to be precise. So scrape off the top. I'm usually, when I'm cooking, I keep it over. But when I make my mixes, I am very, very precise. These, to me, are worth their weight in gold. I got these at just Walmart, and it has an 8, and some of the mixes you want to have a small amount. And so these scoop out very, very good if you're using shortening or butter or brown sugar. And again, I can't express strong enough because this kind of breaks my kitchen rules, but be very, very precise when you're making your mixes. Take a knife and go over the top and make sure that you're precise in your measurements. My kids laugh at me, but I love my Holy Spoon. It is the Holy Spoon. And the reason I like this is because of the ability it has to truly mix and blend. And so these 3 things are, I think, very, very important to make sure that you mix your mix well. So take mixing mixes very seriously. And the other thing is I use a scale. Scales are very, very good. In fact, a lot of my personal recipes, I have flour and sugar and things like that actually weighed. It's a little bit more precise than using a measuring cup. And so you might consider doing that. But and I'll be telling you how many ounces are in a mix. And like the brownie mix, I will mix up 6. I'll 6 times the recipe, and then I will use my scales to measure that. And so that helps in making each one very, very precise. The other reason I like to make my own mixes is because they're fresh. I remember, and this was a number of years ago, I was Vice President of Sputnik Equipment, and I was in Ore-Ida, and I made the comment to them with their dried potatoes. I said, so by the time they get to the grocery store shelf, how old were they? Does anyone have any guesses at how old it is from the time? Yes?
3 years, isn't it?
Yes. They figure between 2 and 3 years. And I don't understand this, but they're newer on the East Coast coming from Idaho, getting to the East Coast than the ones that we get here. Who could have figured that one out? So I like the idea that I'm eating fresher food. Now, there are some new products. You know, I could make I must have had extra training in how to always have dumplings in my gravy. I mean, I can get lumps. Work so hard. And I have worked long enough. I have been known to blend more than one gravy, you know. And I've had it splatter all over, blow the lid off, things like that. But if you've ever had problems making gravy, or you ever wondered why the gravy packets that you buy for instant gravy, how they don't have lumps, it's because of this. And this product is now in the supermarkets so that you can buy it and make your own mixes. Now, it's just flour, just plain flour, but it's milled really, really fine. The grain that they use is a very low protein grain, and so it just doesn't even need to be cooked very long. Because remember, if you don't cook your gravy enough or your flour enough before you add the water, you will have that kind of raw flour taste. This one doesn't need to be cooked quite as long, and it dissolves well. The recipes that I gave you, you can use, one of them called for cornstarch or Wondra. You can use either one. And another one, you can use the regular flour, but you're going to have to be a little bit more careful and make sure that you blend that. But this you can get at the grocery stores. And speaking of that, the quality of your products make a difference on your mixes. And I hesitated whether to mention this, and I decided I'm going to do it anyway. Because there, you can buy the bouillon cubes, or you can get, see, I think it is, I can't remember the name of it. It's at the grocery store. And at Bi-Lo's in Pocatello, you can get Farmer Brothers bouillon. You keep this in your fridge, and it is positively the best bouillon I have ever found. You use very, very little of it. And so if you're making gravy, I don't know if you've ever ran out of gravy on Thanksgiving Day. I've done this. And all of a sudden you're out of gravy and you've used all your drippings and you need gravy now. And this will make very, very good gravy. And I use it for my mixes. So when you talk about making your own mixes, the possibilities are limitless. So the first one I talked about is the beef gravy. Now this one has the flour in it, and it is really, really good.
Where did you say you bought the Farmer Brothers?
The Farmer Brothers, you can get all of their products at Bi-Lo's. It's
15th, isn't it?
yes, 15. Thank you. I was just going, was it 15th or 16th? Yes. And Pocatello. And it really is at a very, very good price.
You also can go to Farmer Brothers right there in Idaho Falls, across the street from Tankerry Drive, and they'll let you buy anything.
Exactly.
In that store. So.
Yes. So depending on whether we're in Idaho Falls or Pocatello. So the first one is the beef gravy, and this gravy has an excellent flavor in it. It has some ground sage, and one of the reasons I also like making my own mixes, have you ever been cooking and the phone rings or somebody comes to the door or something and you think, let's see, where was I? And things get forgotten, and this makes it very easy that it is all put together. And so the first one is my gravy mix, and it's very simple. You're just putting things together and mixing them well. And then I put them in jars and label them, and I actually put my instructions on the top of them. And so it's all ready and set to go. And then there was a recipe for the turkey or chicken. I usually use the chicken bouillon in that one. And then the country gravy, I love this one. My boys and my entire family loves biscuits and gravy. But it takes a few minutes to do. And so I will make this up, and it takes only a few minutes, and then mix up my biscuits, and they're ready in just literally less than 20 minutes. I go from walking into the kitchen and pulling out biscuits and gravy. And so that one, I love that one so much. And I also use the country gravy mix to make chicken pot pie, and so things like that. So anytime that you need to have that white sauce, this is an excellent option. And then the herb dipping mix, we have that we're serving tonight. And this is a real treat. There is one thing that you might not be aware of, is that if you will take the herb mix and you put just a little bit of water, and there's instructions here, microwave it for 10, 14 seconds, that will bring out the oils of the dry herbs and make those herbs much more flavorful. The other thing is using a pestle and breaking up the herbs, and that releases the oils that are in the dry herbs. The next one I have there, I think, is the taco seasoning mix. I use this one in ground beef enchiladas, taco salad, taco soup, and casseroles. And so it's very, very versatile that way. The Italian dressing mix, I use this one for dressing and dips and cheese balls, and even into using it to put on chicken and then baking it in the oven. But again, if you will break it up a little bit, even before you're putting it into the oil and vinegar, it will release those oils and make it more flavorful. And then there's a ranch dressing mix, which is endless. And then we have, tonight, we're serving the All-Star Muffin Mix, and she's got, Rhonda disappeared. I know that she did rhubarb, and I'm not sure of the other ones, but the labels are there. And this makes morning really, really fast. Literally in a couple of minutes, before the oven is even heated to temperature, you can have your muffins ready to go in the oven. And so that's fun. One of the things that I do with this particular recipe is that I prefer to use whole grains. And so I will grind my hard white wheat. And you can substitute the all-purpose flour cup for cup with hard white. So you can have a little bit of nutrition. That is one of the pluses, is because you, with the mixes, you can add or subtract fat, sugar, change it to whole grains. It's all up to you, what you would prefer. And then, I did not realize until I was actually at a spice company, we were doing a job there, and that's when I discovered how many fillers was in pumpkin pie spice and chili powder and things like that. And at home, I would run out of chili powder. And so I went, I can't do what I wanted to do. And so I created my own chili powder, and I took ideas from other people's experiments and put them together, and this is what I came up with. And so give it a try. The oregano, I use the Mexican oregano. There's a difference between Mediterranean oregano and Mexican oregano. And for things that are more savory, spicy, I like the Mexican oregano. And again, I just mix it together and put it in a jar and label it, and can use it. Yes?
Where do you get it at? The Mexican?
You can buy the little ones. You can buy it in bulk at Winco. You can also, there's at Bilo's, they brought in their own line, and actually at Bilo's, I know I'm gonna sound really cheap, am I? Anyway, there are places where you can buy your spices for less money than at other places, and Bilo's have been doing their own brand of spices, and they're very, very competitive. And they actually beat Winco's bulk prices per ounce. And they're very fresh. So just a thought, check it out. Did I see another hand?
How fresh are the Winco bulk stuff, you know?
The Wincos are really very, very fresh. I made friends in the bulk area because I use it a lot. and I asked them, I said, my feelings is that these are pretty fresh. And they said, they are, because they're rotated so fast. And it's heavily used. So they are really very, very fresh. So we have poultry seasoning, and again, I like the poultry seasoning. There's nutmeg in it, and a lot of them call for cloves, and I think that cloves sometimes will overpower the other herbs, and so this one doesn't. But if you like a lot of cloves, add some cloves in there. If you want it more garlicky, add more garlic, or put garlic in it. And then the onion soup mix, I love this one. I was raised on French onion soup dip, and we bought the little packets and put it in the sour cream. And this, try it. I think you might like it. And the other option is to put it into yogurt too. And that ups your protein and cuts down some fat calories. The fajitas, I use, on the onion soup mix, I use 1/4 of a cup of mix combined with 16 ounces of yogurt or sour cream. So the fajitas seasoning, I was anxious. This was one of my very first ones I developed because there was so much MSG and so... there was another thing in there, and they told me it was to keep it from clumping up. But there was so many fillers in it, and so try this fajita seasoning. You can use it with beef, you can use it with chicken. I actually use it with seasoning my meat when I'm doing enchiladas, and so it's one of our favorites. And the seasoned salt, that one is another one that they put a lot of stuff that I don't think I want to consume in it, and so that's why I did that one. The next recipe is my fake Betty Crocker brownie mix, and I did put this on here, but a package of brownie mix is 11.6 ounces. So when you're using the recipe to mix the eggs and the half a cup of oil and the vanilla, you want to use 11.6 ounces for that package. And then we have the sugar cookies, the gingerbread, the oatmeal cookies. The other thing as a grandmother is I love having a mix, because then my grandchildren only have to add a few things, and there's a whole lot more joy spread throughout the kitchen by the time we get the cookies made, because they're just adding just a few things, and so it just makes it more fun and a lot less cleanup at the end of the day, because really they just want to get to the point of eating the cookies. They'll add a few things, but they want to get to eating those cookies. And then the last one I have is my pancake mix. I want to give you a website that will give you this. This was a group of 4 women at the University of Maine, and they did a remarkable job at developing some mixes. And it is http:// and then U as in university, and then Maine like the state, which is MAINE .edu/publications /4029E as in elephant /. They did a phenomenal job with the breakdowns and the nutritional information on mixes. And they did everything from spaghetti mixes, meatloaf mixes, seasoned mixes for rice, an all-purpose baking mix that I really do love, and then recipes to use those mixes. So take a look at those. Every one of them I've tried, and they are excellent recipes. But I was hesitant whether or not I could, even though they were publicized, I didn't know if I should copy them. And besides, it would have been a huge book. But they're excellent recipes to give a try and take a look at the ones that would be beneficial to you. So I truly feel like that it is such a blessing to experiment and to be able to make our own food and to know what's in our food. And for my family, it has truly been a blessing, and been able to have home-cooked meals and get them done a little bit faster and benefit my family, and to be able to quickly make something to take to a neighbor or whatever we needed. I'm so grateful for the Relief Society program. It has truly blessed my life from the time I was born to now, and I know that it is organized under the direction of a loving Heavenly Father, and I truly feel like that my family has been blessed because of the blessing of Relief Society. And I bear you this testimony in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.